What's good, my friends? Hope you guys are doing well. Hope everything is fine. We're going to try something different on this channel. Something that's very dear to my heart is to talk about my life, but also how I can help you guys, because I've been through everything, basically. I've seen the ups and downs. I've seen people struggling in this business as a musician. I moved to Los Angeles. Everything's so expensive, so I know what's important if you want to sustain yourself, and today's topic is about sustaining yourself as a musician. And I personally find it really interesting to know exactly what to do with your finances. If you don't know what you're doing with your finances, everybody, but especially musicians, then I don't know what you're doing, because you're setting yourself up for failure. And I want to run a couple of things by you that I learned throughout all of these years. And for me, living in LA for 6 years and seeing how expensive it is, I personally need to be extra cautious when it comes to money. So very important. We're going to start right off. Number one, have a budget. So when I say budget, everybody's like, oh, you need to write down everything you spend. Yes, you should do that. But for me, it's more important to have like a business plan. I personally have a spreadsheet I can link to you guys if you want to see how that works. It's basically, I write down everything that I earn, like all of the gigs that come in throughout the whole year, but I also write down all of my expenses. So I do have an app. I do track what I spend, like if I go out to eat or if I buy groceries, I do write everything down. And that actually helps me to see how much do I spend, how much do I have at the end of the year, because that's very important for us to think. Not every month is going to be the same. We're going to have months where it does not work out, where we don't have that many gigs. We do have months that work out really well, and they have to cover for other gigs that don't work well, right? So it's a balance. I think it's important if you have a visual, if you have numbers written down, it's always easier to keep track of your numbers and know where you stand at the end of the year. So very important. Number one is have a spreadsheet of your budget, basically your income and your expenses. Very important. Now, I want to go a little bit deeper into what it actually means to sustain yourself as a musician. So I do believe it's really important that you need to be over water, not underwater. If you have a feeling that you're taking up debt for any kind of shows you're putting on, or you're taking a debt to actually live, that is a big no-go, because you can only do that for so long. You can only rely on credit cards and debt for so long, which I would never recommend. Never. Do not do that. If you're in a position like that, you probably have to pick up a second job, at least until that period goes away, right? It's really important so you're always above water, you're always on break even, and for the best part, you're always a little bit in the plus, because we have to do our taxes. Most of the time, if we're independent contractors, we need extra money to put aside so we can pay our taxes at the end of the year. Because if you don't do that, again, it's a chunk of money that's going to go away from your bank account, and you did not budget that in. So really be aware that you need to pay your taxes. Really important. When it comes to taxes, one more thing that I do, I know not everybody can afford that, but I would highly recommend it. Get an app that tracks your taxes and also your expenses when you drive, also your miles that you drive for your business. I do that very diligently, but there's an app that does it automatically for you. You put your bank accounts in there, you put the GPS on, and it tracks when you get in your car, and at a certain velocity, it tracks your ride, your start point and your stop point. And then on your app, you just have to swipe left and right and say, okay, this was business or this was personal. So I did that for 3 years now. And every year I automatically have the number, money that came in, money that I spent for business, but also for personal. It tracks everything and puts it where it needs to go. Really important, because at the end of the day, when you do your tax return at the end, you can write off so many things. So personally, I could write off a lot of things that are part of my business. So that lowered my taxes, which brought me to a really comfortable position. Do not underestimate this fact. This is really important. You can save so much money when it comes to that. So those are big things I really wanted to talk about, and really important. It's just, I need to hammer that home, if you say that. For me as a German, I don't know the idioms. I need to hammer that into you guys. You got to be over water. I know so many friends who have debt. There's nothing wrong with that. There's student debt. Some people need debt to get up, whatever. I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about you want to be a musician and sustain yourself as a musician. Get to a point where you can sustain yourself. Don't be afraid to take up a job that maybe is not as inspiring or interesting, but it does the job for a certain while so you can be over water, so you can pay your bills. If you can pay your bills, you can gradually build, and it takes time. Music careers take time. For me as a wedding, like I play for weddings, I play for corporate events. That's where the big money is, but I do a lot of touring as well. Sometimes touring do not pay the bills. The other bigger events do. So it's really important to keep that in mind. Even though you play at the Coachella stage, I did get an offer last year, they don't pay that well. Just be aware of that, right? I'm not saying I'm not doing it. I'm not saying I don't want to do it. I will probably at some point, but just be aware that that doesn't even mean that you can reliably sustain yourself. It's just important. I just want you guys to be aware of all of these small little things. Try to be over water. Try to get enough money in by any means possible. And if you have the opportunity, don't just do one thing like I did at first, be one like a wedding keyboarder. Try to get multiple income streams. You don't want to be reliable on just one income stream, because in the end, like something goes wrong with this company or something goes wrong with this touring opportunity, you're going to be there and don't have nothing, right? So just be aware of that and try to, like, over the time, build multiple income streams. It's really important because we want to be in this business for a long time, right? And at some point, we don't want to be traveling that much, because we know traveling and touring can be really exhausting, especially if you're in a van with 10 other people. You don't have no privacy and nothing. Like, at some point in your life, if you get kids, maybe if you have a family, like, things shift and change. So start shifting and changing your mindset and your money habits early on, so later on you don't gonna have these problems anymore, right? I think those are like small little things that could definitely help you on the long term. And again, last point, which I already said, there will be months where you don't have enough income. There will be months where you don't have enough gigs. I'm in this position right now. It's January, it's February. My business does not pick up until maybe April. So it was important for me to put aside some money that I made at the end of last year. I knew for a fact that I'm not going to earn much money, and I do have bills to pay, right? So be aware that, always think ahead. But if you do the spreadsheet method, if you see your numbers and calculate each month how much you make, how much loss you have, and at the end of the year you have a finite number that tells you, oh, I'm in the plus, and or not, then you have a really good view of where you stand, how much more work you have to do. I can tell you guys, when I first came out to LA, that was the most important thing I had to do. And it's helped me so much over the 6 years to build and to sustain myself. Now I am in the position where I can not work for 3 months and I will be fine, right? So I have the luxury now, but I started off early and I set myself up for success when it comes to that, right? Be smart about your money. Be smart not to take up too much debt if you don't have to. Don't be too proud to not take on a job that doesn't suit you that well. You need to be over water. I did a restaurant job for the longest time, even though I didn't like it. But it helped me, right? I'm just putting that out for you guys to think about. Try to be sustainable, because we want to be this for the long term. I mean, we want to be here for a long period of time, and careers take a lot of time in music. I mean, don't rely on other people. Rely on yourself and your music, and then you should be good. Yourself and your money. That's what I'm trying to say. This was a little bit new. I'm not going to do more cuts on these videos. It's just like a little thing that came to my mind today, and I want to do this more regularly. So if you guys enjoyed these kind of videos, definitely give it a thumbs up and share this video to other fellow musicians or upcoming musicians, because I want to share more of my inputs here from LA to you guys. Subscribe, like. Thanks for looking in. I got other videos on this channel, so you know what to do. I see you guys. Peace.